Night train to Mundofina, night train to the end. Running hard and running fast to meet my future and away from my past. Taking the gamble that cannot last. Night train to the end.
Hello, this is the Frater SH Night Show, and our first article is Family Stumbles Upon Bigfoot Near Lake in Kansas. A peculiar piece of footage circulating online shows a family in Kansas stumbling upon what appears to be a Bigfoot near a lake. Though not everyone is convinced that the scene is genuine, the odd video was reportedly posted to a Facebook group devoted to a popular state park known as Cheyenne Lake by an unnamed resident of the area last Saturday evening. Alas, the witness did not provide much in the way of detail as far as what they encountered, choosing instead to simply marvel that he and his kids went for a drive around the lake just now and caught something strange on video. That, of course, is something of an understatement, as the curious creature captured in the video bears a striking resemblance to Sasquatch. In the video, which is shot from the perspective of the driver of the vehicle, the dad explains that he is driving the girls out to check out some stars to get away from the light. After noticing what they think was a shooting star, they attempt to get an area where they can get a clearer view of the sky, which is when the headlights of the car illuminate a puzzling shape in the distance. One of the man's daughters is the first to notice the curious interloper, crying out, "Wait, what the heck is that right there?" The family's attention and the camera is then turned towards what appears to be a bipedal creature, crouching down and then running away as if he knew he had been spotted. As one might imagine, response to the footage has been largely mixed, with some viewers suggesting that the family encountered Bigfoot at the lake, and they point to what looks like an eye shine emanating from the creature, as well as one of the little girls' fearful demand that they go home right now. Upon seeing the potential Sasquatch, skeptical observers, however, argue that the video is almost too good to be true and seems almost perfectly staged, which suggests that it is fairly a well-crafted hoax. Should be the case. At least we can credit the pranksters for making the fake video a family affair. What's your take? Okay. Yeah. See, that's the lame downside of, like, now that. See, you can record anything now with your phone, which seems amazing, but there's a lot of ways to fake things with your phones too. And you can go into like Adobe and various programs afterwards, and you can make things, yeah, you make your own little CGI and stuff in the background, I'm sure, and that's the only downside of this kind of technology. There's a lot of ways to hoax things. Okay, our next article is a mysterious aircraft spotted at Area 51, an unprecedented satellite image. A delta-shaped tailless fighter-sized aircraft that looks like nothing we've seen before, calls the secretive base home. Yeah, I'm sure still this day there's stuff there that, that they still work on. And roughly 8 years after the construction began, the massive hangar located at the remote southern end of the Air Force clandestine flight test center at Groom Lake, better known as Area 51, has seemed to have had little to no activity. Based on commercial satellite imagery and sporadic video taken by hikers from Tikaboo Peak, dozens of miles away, they have never been more than a handful of vehicles nearby. Nothing of significance in terms of infrastructure has been built up around it. Now, for the first time, satellite imagery from Planet Labs not only shows activity around the mysterious hangar, but the nature of that activity is a never before seen exotic delta wing aircraft packed on its northern apron. We came upon this development after doing our regular scans of Planet Labs, low resolution imagery of various locales of interest across the globe. Area 51 is always a popular spot when it comes to available publicly available satellite imagery. When glancing at daily 3-meter resolution images of the base, we notice that the appearance of a roughly delta-shaped blob on the north apron of the large southern hangar. The first shot that contained this object, was dated January 26, 2022. Since we had never seen any action around this hangar, we found it odd. Maybe it was a large group of vehicles or some sort of new construction. The blob remained there in Planet Labs low resolution imagery through the 28th. A high resolution Planet Labs image dated January 29, 2022 told a much richer story, that the blob was actually an exotic delta-shaped aircraft. Such an unenclosed skeleton-like structure, just sitting in the middle of the apron. An overview of Area 51 and the location of the Big South hangar where the mystery airframe was spotted. The structure itself is a modular temporary aircraft shelter, similar to the one this is in the article picture, with its rear wall up, but its top covering not installed. There are very common structures used around the globe, especially by the U.S. military. The aircraft in question measures roughly 65 feet long and 50 feet wide, about the size of a Su-27 flanker, and has wings that are reminiscent of Concorde, but its elegantly curved ogival leading edge, even the mystery aircraft wings' trailing edges are curved, leading to almost scimitar-like wingtips that may be turned upward, although the wings have a flowing, almost organic appearance. The aircraft has no discernible tail surfaces. The object almost kind of looks like a manta, the way the picture is looking here. It's kind of neat. Although it kind of looks like, from the picture, it kind of almost looks like a, I don't know. It's weird because it's like you're looking at the truck that has the object overhead, and it almost looks like a drawing on top of the truck. But back to the article, the aircraft has no discernible tail surfaces, with what is likely its exhaust extending to the rear and blended with the curved trailing edges of the wings, providing something of a rear apex. Is for fuselage tapers into what is most likely a pointed nose. There is no doubt about it that it is a fluid-looking design, and would most likely be very impressive to view up close. As to what it could be, we don't know, but the size of the shape are broadly similar to notional next-generation air dominance NGAD and 6th generation fighter related concepts that we have seen for both USAF and Navy, which are depicted as heavy tailless, low observable tactical jets with modified delta wing planforms. It has been officially disclosed that NGAD demonstrator has been in flight testing for some time, and that has shown great promise, although the nature of this program remains widely misunderstood in the press. It is a family of systems which will include long-range penetrating and possibly other unmanned combat air vehicles. Alongside that will likely be an optional manned, very low observable platform that puts an emphasis on regional endurance and a sizable payload, not high maneuverability, along with the latest in networking and sensor capabilities. This central tactical jet design could even come in two-wing configurations. These optional manned and unmanned NG-80 platforms will be developed together with a number of ancillary technologies that will enable them to fight cooperatively. So the idea that NG-80 is a new fighter seems to be more of a legacy term used for familiarity's sake than accuracy. In fact, that the manned portion of the program will likely need a new descriptor altogether, although tradition may stand in the way of that happening. That is just one secretive program that we know exists, generally matches the description. But there are many others underway that we do not know any firm details about. Area 51 has multiple programs of varying sophistication and maturity underway at any given time. Those related to high-speed flight and unmanned capabilities are very likely that they'll be keeping the facility the busiest these days, as well as continued work in general low observable aircraft flight test, and foreign material exploitation initiatives. The mystery aircraft's wing shape being so reminiscent of Concorde, along with what could be upturned rolled wingtips, does seem to point to a highly efficient design that could have sufficiently significant supercruise flying beyond the speed of sound without the use of afterburner, if not outright very high-speed capabilities. Development work in high-speed flight realm has exploded in recent years, especially when it comes to hypersonic aircraft and missiles. Somewhat famously, Lockheed Martin and CEOs Marilyn Houston noted that the company could have an F-22 size flying demonstrator for its hypersonic combined cycle engine, ready for around $1 billion in just a few years' time. That was back in 2016. What followed was a seemingly bizarre media push regarding the national SR-72 hypersonic spy and attack drone. The initiative seems to have gone largely dark since then, but it's possible the aircraft we're seeing is that demonstrator. At least the size and timeline seem to fix. On top of that, the Air Force is seemingly pursuing a hypersonic flight test program known as Mayhem. Details about this project are limited, but we do know that it's tied into work relating to advanced high-speed jet engines and is seeking to build demonstrators configured to perform strike and intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance missions. This is all very much in line with how Lockheed Martin has described its vision for the SR-72. Separately, China has pushed ahead with its own high-speed unmanned concepts, including the air-launched rocket-power-sized WZ-8. That aircraft is also a delta-shaped design, although with large and very abrupt winglets. The WZ-8 is much smaller and a more pure delta design than whatever we are seeing in the satellite image at Area 51. It still isn't clear if the wing design seen in the satellite image supports such incredible speed, although there has been chatter for many years about variable geometry wings for very high-speed aircraft, basically where the small wing extensions fold partially forward into the fuselage after takeoff and climb, greatly decreasing the span, and basically leaving a highly swept wedge-like diamond platform for a very high-speed cruise. This would provide the best of both worlds and allow the aircraft to recover at speeds that would be feasible on large standard runways. However, when concepts have been batted around for years, and while one can see how it could work with this basic design, the wingtips are upturned, it would make such a configuration seem like a remote possibility. Regardless, when a static wing aircraft that has supercruise very efficiently at supersonic speeds would be a major capability advantage. something related to efforts in developing and testing will mysteriously missing advanced unmanned combat air vehicles is such a possibility. Even at highest speeds, bringing these kinds of capabilities into an operational state is finally becoming a priority, considering the increasing focus on advanced drone swarms, teaming and infusion of AI into the air combat arena. This is most likely a major focus of testing ongoing at the expanding base. Let's see here. So while the aircraft's platform matches most likely the NGAD's centerpiece platform, we know for a fact that type is flying. We have no real idea if it is related to that program. We can't even say for certain that this aircraft's objectives are beyond what we gather generally from its plan form, and our analysis is still in a very preliminary stage. All that being said, we must underscore that spotting a totally new and exotic aircraft design in the open at Area 51 is largely unprecedented, and for very good reason. It is widely known that those who run the facility are masters at concealing what they need to conceal. The place literally wrote the book on clandestine flight test operations going back to the dawn of U-2's spy plane. They know what every imaging satellite is passing over and refine their operations, much of which occurs under the cover of darkness accordingly. Area 51 garners massive interest from the public, as well as foreign countries, both allied and not, all of which have access to imaging satellite capabilities. In other words, they know they are being watched every single day. You would actually think that if you have a base like that, and you got this, you got like Google satellite imagery and all these satellites looking at it 24/7, you'd think they would actually build like a giant roof to cover over, like a giant facility that covers over all the buildings, so you wouldn't have like one of these planes just sitting outside. You know what I mean? So probably this plane is something that's about ready to be revealed, because they know people are watching. I'm just saying, because it just seems like there's better ways to go about. If you have satellite imagery looking down on it all day, there would be ways to cover the whole area up. Just saying. But it's largely unprecedented for very good reason. Widely known that they run the facility, are masters at concealing what they need to conceal. The place literally wrote the book on the clandestine flight test operations going back to the dawn of the U-2 fly plane. They know that when very imaging satellite is passing over and refine their operations, much of which occurs under the cover of darkness accordingly. Area 51 garners massive interest from the public as well as foreign countries, both allied and not, all of which have access to imaging satellite capabilities. In other words, they know they are being watched every single day overhead. While vague glimpses of mysterious objects in the shadows may have occurred, it's very unlikely to leave a highly sensitive test article just sitting around on a vacant apron for any imaging satellite, or even onlooker for afar to gawk at. This prompts a very intriguing question. Why has this airframe left out in the open at all? One could argue that the intention was for this aircraft to be seen. With all the strategic signaling going on these days, that would not be out of the realm of possibility. Certainly, similar sightings have occurred at foreign developmental airfields, that they are not the same as Area 51. In fact, considering where this happened, the facility's long record of perfection when it comes to hiding everything it needs to from satellites overhead, it would seem far more probable than possible. One other idea that came to mind is that that this could be one of the many long retired prototype aircraft that are thought to be stored at Area 51. After their testing career has come to a close, they are the lucky ones. Others are said to be buried all around the highly restricted grounds. Too costly to declassify and no room for them to be stored. Due to the odd placement of the non-covered shelter, the only thing we can think of is that maybe one of these planes is being used to test a new towable shelter system. But that really doesn't add up either. Those aircraft would still be undisclosed, and they can just use one of the F-16s based there, or another mundane aircraft to do that. As far of for what's in the big hangar nearby, the mystery aircraft, we still have no idea. Its tall and elongated dimensions, as well as its secluded locale, have caused much speculation as to what what was built to hold, but its location may point to something extreme sensitivity, both in terms of secrecy and potentially physical volatility. Everything from sort of new high-speed aircraft that may run on especially volatile fuel to a parasite two-stage to orbit mothership concept has been floated. What is clear is that the structure is very opposite of the wide and low-slung hangars commonly associated with supersonic low-observable aircraft like stealth bombers and high-flying surveillance aircraft. Maybe it houses a mothership for which the aircraft we are seeing is lifted up onto and lofted into the air, similar to WZ-8 concept. Once again, that would explain the hangar's high and elongated dimensions. We just don't know. Well, that's all time today. Thank you.